So, question for you. Are we parts in a play in a dream world? First thoughts, maybe listen to this, you're probably thinking I'm insane. But I put it to you, that is the case. And I'll try and qualify it with a few things. Our egos are sense of self. And I was reading a book by Osho, not by Osho, because I don't think he actually wrote stuff down, but someone wrote down some of his discourses. And he said, if you read certain books, you realize you don't exist. Now, I've got into astrology and I've read things like the Celestine Prophecy. And I think things like that are some of the things he's talking about. Take the Celestine Prophecy, where they talk about the energy dynamics of us as human beings and these four energy control things that we have: two passive, two negative. I think one's called aloof, one's called the aggressor, or something like that. But they're within us all. And when I read that book and started seeing how I fit the aloof situation in this kind of unconscious way of like gaining energy from each other, and it's really interesting. And it gave me an insight into how certain aspects of self seems to be kind of destined. It's already pre-programmed, if you like. And that got me into things like astrology. So I looked into astrology, look at my sign, look at my moon sign, my sun sign. And I think with all these things, you have to have a bit of objectivity. And so I kind of looked at myself, and I did seem to, the characteristics that it was talking about, I did fit. And that one thing Osho said is that we don't have any real thoughts of ourselves. There's no kind of original thought. It's already out there anyway. I think that was Osho, maybe it was Bashar, but anyway, I've actually got to the point where I've become a witness to my own thoughts, and I see and my characteristics, and I can see it's almost like the universe has a blueprint for us in a way of being. I think we have freedom, but I think these characteristics, this way of being and thinking, and way we are energetically is kind of there's pretty much a predetermined nature to it. So yeah, so that got me thinking again. And when I was younger, I watched the film The Truman Show. I find that quite interesting. Now, it did seem to be quite notable in that film, to me anyway, that the film talked about, one of the things it talked to me about was like ego death. And maybe, I'm not quite sure, what is a true man, But please turn off now if you haven't seen the film, because I'm going to tell you the ending, so spoiler alert. Um, at the end, the film is about a guy who's being brought up in a TV show on a massive, massive film set the size of a small country almost. And he's unaware of it, but his whole life is for the benefits of other people's entertainment. Basically, his ego has become a part in a play, and his world has become a stage, as Shakespeare said, you know. And he's unaware of it, but he goes through this sudden realization that something's not right, that certain things seem to synchronize a certain way, and people and situations don't seem to be what they could be. So he starts to realize and realize and realize, and then he comes to the point where he wants to escape. So, to cut a long story short, he gets to the edge of the world in a boat, and he realized the director of the play, the drama, was behind these bodies of light that help record the whole program, is behind the sun and the moon. Now, that is astrology. He had to realize the director was behind the sun and the moon. Now, and I'm sure not coincidentally, but this guy the character who's almost like the god figure of the whole film was called Christos. Now, unless it's got to be coincidence of coincidences, I'm sure whoever wrote the book or film or direct whatever has used that purposely, because Christos is another name for, as far as I know, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but for the Buddha nature of this higher consciousness. So, true man, to discover his nature, to discover that the ego is false, well, not false, but it's like a kind of almost a suit that we wear, like a part in a drama, has to realize Christos behind the sun and the moon. And I think the sun and the moon is kind of representation of male and female, in and out, yin and yang, or whatever you want to say, the subconscious and the subconscious. But he has to realize Christos and the fact that his ego has been a sham. So, and I think if we are objective with ourselves and our egos and ourselves, and we do look at things like astrology, and as Osho said, if you read certain books, you realize you don't exist. And there's many conversations to be like within the New Age community, etc., etc. I hate that we say New Age, but for argument's sake, that the ego is a bad thing or a good thing. It's just not a real thing. And I was reading a book by this Indian master, this lady, I forgot her name, and she said, "Aren't we just ink within the play? Aren't we just ink within the creator's pen?" Again, another thing, alluding to this idea that our characteristics are predetermined, and there's some kind of creation process within the universe that has brought us to these kind of perceivable individual beings. But if you look into it, there's a predetermined nature to it. And if you look into it even more, the individual being can't really exist, because our cells in our body seems to, like, I think they die every 7 years. So where does the individuality go? So I am no more than the earth, that when I eat an apple, it becomes my skin, and my skin falls off and it becomes the earth again. So the ego is like a creative wave within the ocean. Yeah. So yeah, I'm trying to allude to my points that we are parts in a play in a dream world, the dream thing. I think it was Edgar Allan Poe. Maybe again, you can correct me if you're wrong. I think it was in a propaganda song. That's why I really heard it the first time. Is that all that we see or seem is just a dream within a dream? And you get Shakespeare saying, "The world is a stage, and people are the stuff that dreams are made of." Are we literally made of some being's dream? A creative being who dreamt the universe within moment, in time, or even out of time. But yeah, I keep seeing these things and reading these things, and and that's the conclusion. If you can come to a conclusion about anything, really, is that my ego is a part in a play in a dream world, and I keep having these pointers, many many pointers. Um, Another film, just quickly mention The Matrix. I think you get the character, I forgot his name. Is it Cypher? Who rebels against the good guys, the rebels within the Matrix, led by Neo. And he wants to go back into the Matrix, and he's talking to the guy in the suit, the agent. He goes, and he's eating his steak, and he goes, "I want to be put back in. I want to be, but this time I want to be someone rich, someone famous." And here's the kicker: someone like an actor. See, again, I find this hard to believe this is coincidental. So he goes, "I want to be someone like an actor." Again, are we just parts in a play, in a dream world? The ego, big or small, wide or tall. I'm getting stupidly, badly poetic now, but does it just not exist? And I suppose, in a way, knowing that it is kind of a catalyst for unconditional love, in that even the most evil person in the world is just playing his part within the drama of life. And from a dualistic point of view, you could say good and bad, and And we can't all be in that kind of unconditional place of love all the time, God. But sometimes you can step back and look at creation in its non-dualistic way, a non-dualistic form, where one thing connects to the other and we're all connected. And the darkness and the light is within us, and the nature of everything is within us. Is that, yeah, maybe there is something outside of the higher and the lower, a greater unconditional love of creation that has created everything. Yeah, so that's my thoughts of today, just on our parts in the play. But yeah, be interesting to hear the comments. I think hopefully you're not all going to say I'm completely mad, but I'll probably agree with you because sanity and madness. That's maybe that's what will be my next uploads, because obviously if you think about it, sanity is a very much it seems to me to be a cultural normality, a cultural mindset. Anyway, goodbye.